So I got an email the other day from a client from a few years ago who had met her man, married him. I called her up and she was telling me the story. It blew my mind because what she demonstrated, I thought, was so classy. How she handled these moments. It was so powerful, so beautiful. I wanted to share it with you because you see, I think one of the things that defines what it means to have class is being true to yourself, being willing to speak your truth when it's not easy, when it's inconvenient. And so let me share with you her story about how she met her man, how she manifested that relationship, and these pivotal moments along the way that helped her cultivate this incredible love story so that you, as you're developing your relationship with your man or you're attracting your man, you can see how these moments could apply to you in your own love life. So this woman's name is Mel. She's 42 years old at this point in her life. She's living in New Zealand and she's doing online dating. And the online dating is going a little bit not great. And she's having some bad dates. And in the program with me, she learns a few techniques that she decides to stay true to, where she says, look, I have to have a phone call or a Zoom call with you before I'm going to meet up with you. And so she starts speaking her standards, speaking her truth. And a lot of guys didn't like that. They were like, no, I don't want to deal with a Zoom call. Like, let's just meet up for coffee. And if they weren't willing to lean in to a Zoom call and at least accommodate that need that she has, then she wouldn't meet with them. She goes, it went from 30% good dates to 90% good dates. She was like, I knew that if I had that Zoom call and it went well, that by the time we went out together, we were going to have a great time. So I was dating all these guys. These were great dates. And then COVID hit. And we went on lockdown. During lockdown, online, I met a guy named Chris. And Chris was super funny and we connected on all these different common interests. We started talking once a week. Then I invited him to game night, virtual game night with my friends. He vibed with my friends. We started talking every day. And then after weeks, maybe it was a couple of months, the restrictions lifted and so they could actually meet. But it was that COVID meet where people were wearing masks and you had to be social distance, remember? And so she goes, we had our first meeting and she goes, Matt, remember, I've only seen him here up. Well, he looks really good here up. She goes, I didn't realize that he was literally 60 pounds overweight. So we meet at this park and he is so shy. He's so awkward. He's just looking down. He's overweight and she's really fit. She's really athletic. And she goes, it was a horrible date. It wasn't at all the vibe we had online. But I had such a good time with him online. I thought, well, maybe he's just a little bit awkward. A week later, we have another date. And same thing, it's awkward, it's not good. And so she tells him, look, she speaks her truth and she goes, I don't really feel the romantic chemistry, but I really enjoy hanging out with you as a friend. And so why don't we develop the friendship? And he said, okay, even though, of course he had interest for her, he was willing to develop the friendship. So one particular week, he calls her up and says, what are you doing? And she says, well, I'm actually sanding and painting my banister. He says, well, can I help you? Because I love DIY stuff. And she goes, yeah, of course. So he comes over and they do that project together and they have a blast. They like hang out all day doing the sanding and painting and have a blast. She's like coming up with DIY projects for him to do, for him to come over just so they can hang out. So they do that a couple weeks and then an opportunity to hang out on her father's boat comes up. Her dad owns this boat. And it's a 3-day trip. She says, hey, do you want to come with me? I know we're just friends, but would you like to join? And he says, of course. So they go on this weekend trip with her father. And the way he just vibed with the family was really great. And she said she could feel herself. Well, consciously, he wasn't the style, the body shape that she wanted. She felt her own body just being drawn to him. And she found moments where she was like snuggling up in his shoulder and like leaning into him as they're watching the sunset. So her father on this boat ride pulls her to the side and says, hey, I see what you're doing. You're flirting with this guy. Don't mess with him. He likes you, obviously. And here you are saying you just want to be friends, but you're snuggling with him. And she was like, I know. I feel like I'm just so split. My head says no. My body's just drawn to him. So 2 weeks later, she speaks her truth. And she says to Chris, hey, Chris, I just want you to know that while I really love our friendship. I'm feeling drawn to you, and there's a part of me that really wants to know what it would be like to kiss you. But I'm afraid that we would screw up our friendship if it didn't work out, and I want to know what you would suggest. What a great move in this moment. Classy move. Speaking your truth. It takes vulnerability and courage to say, here's what I want, but I'm afraid it's going to risk this other great thing that we have. But guess what? The world belongs to the bold. You've got to be willing to take bold action to have great results. Of course, Chris loved hearing this because he liked her, and he was like, let's go for it. Let's just see what happens. And so they kissed, and it was awesome, and like fireworks shot. Mel, at 42 years old, did not want to be somebody's girlfriend. The next time she committed, she wanted to know it was going to be like going somewhere long term. And so she tells Chris, she was like, well, I'm open to dating you, but I want you to know I want to date other people as well. Another moment of speaking your truth. When you're dating, are you willing to say something that somebody else might not want to hear? Chris didn't want to hear this. Chris was all in on Mel. Like, Chris really liked Mel. And she knew that it might hurt his feelings to say this, but it was still her truth. She wanted to make sure that she dated other people so that when she finally decided who she wanted, it came from a place of peace. It came from a place of really her own choice of what she wanted. And so she spoke that truth, and Chris said, okay, I'm in. And so they started dating other people. Valentine's Day comes, and Chris puts together this epic Valentine's Day date in a park where he sets up this table with wine and flowers and candelabras with candles, and he writes her this beautiful card, and in the card he tells her, I love you. Mel in this moment doesn't feel exactly the same way Chris feels. She doesn't feel like she can say that she loves him. So what does she do in this moment? This is another classy move. Staying true to yourself. And so Mel tells him, she goes, oh my gosh, Chris, thank you so much for putting this amazing meal together. I love this date. I love the way that you take care of me. I love my experience with you, and I'm on this path. And while I can't say those words at this particular moment, because it takes me a little bit longer on my journey, I want you to know that I love the path that we're on, and I'm really looking forward to seeing where it goes. And Chris understood. I mean, those are those critical moments, right? Like where you're either going to stay in integrity and say the hard thing, or you're going to say the easy thing in the moment, but create something hard for you later. It's a very classy move to say the hard thing, but set yourself up in that moment for even more closeness. When you're classy, you speak your truth. There's really only two options. You either speak your truth or you create disconnection because you speak what they want to hear, but you're ultimately betraying yourself, which creates a disconnection, inauthenticity in the relationship. Mel was being fully authentic. And so Chris said, okay, we'll just lean in. They continued to date other people for a little while longer. And then Mel says to herself, you know what? I'm going to give myself all in with Chris. 6 weeks, I'm going to go all in. And if I don't know that I love him after 6 weeks, if I don't know I want this guy after 6 weeks, then I'll know he's not the guy. And so she burns her ships, so to speak, at the shore. She goes all in with Chris, and a month later, sexy guy from her past calls Mel up and says, hey, what are you doing? Like, are you open to dating? Like, I want to take you out. And Mel said, no, I'm in a relationship. I'm dating somebody else. Hung up the phone and realized I didn't have any hesitation, and I don't have any regret. I'm in love with Chris. And so she goes to Chris and she tells Chris that she loves him. And Chris's eyes fill with tears, and the two of them embrace. And the two of them began their relationship together as a committed couple. And the following year, Chris takes Mel back to that very first park where they had their very first kiss. Mel didn't even remember that it was a year to that day that they had their kiss. And Chris got down on one knee and proposed. During that year, Chris had lost the 60 pounds. Mel not only got to marry the love of her life and her best friend, she got to marry a very smoking hot husband to boot. And then 9 months later, the two of them got to enjoy an amazing wedding together. And Mel was able to create all of this for herself, 43 years old, marrying the love of her life. Why? In my eyes, she was able to embody what it meant to have class, to speak your truth, to hold your standards and boundaries in the face of what might be seen as unpopular or might be seen as not what the other person wants, so that she can be so right with herself that when she does say, I love you, when she does say, I want in on this, it's coming from her whole beingness. And so Mel had wanted to reach back out to me because she wanted to share how powerful the coaching that she had been through helped her stay true to herself and what she wanted and that path. And so if you would love support, if you would love to call in the love of your life, if you would love to attract your relationship and create that partnership for yourself, I'm going to put a link below to the Manifest Your Man program. You can click that link and talk to somebody about how this program can serve you and support you. And let's make this year your year for love. Let's make this year your year that you finally manifest your man. I appreciate you. Here's to your amazing love life. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you soon.